Hello everyone, Xanaro Gaming coming at y'all with another video, and in today's video we are doing something a little special. It is the end of the year and the holidays are here, so happy holidays to everyone. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, whatever holidays you do celebrate. And we did reach 500 subscribers on the channel finally, which is really cool, super awesome. Very proud, very excited, and very thankful for getting the channel to 500 subscribers, and I would not be able to do it if you guys did not watch these videos and like them and subscribe to them and share them. And the Union Arena community is absolutely so awesome. But in today's video we are in for a doozy. This is going to be the 2025 Union Arena the State of the Best of Awards. Now this is just going to be my top and favorite card awards for the Union Arena trading card game, very specifically 2025 cards, so cards that have came out this year. But let's get into this. I spent a good bit of time on this video but I did have a lot of fun doing it, just thinking about going through all the different sets and cards on here to make up these awards. I had so much fun doing it, and the game is amazing. Union Arena is in such an amazing spot at the moment, and it's definitely one of my favorite card games, if not tied with my favorite card game with Digimon. So fun, so amazing. But let's get into these awards, right? These are the award categories I came up with. These are open, to next year, right? If you guys like this, or maybe we could do every 6 months. But this is the award categories I've gone with for this particular video, and I made a lot. Like I said, I love the card game. I love so many cards. I love so many decks and everything that the game is doing at the moment. And these are the ones. So we got set awards. So sets being, however many sets there are, right? We had 15 new sets in the game. 5 of those being volume 2 sets. So we have 10 regular sets and 5 volume 2 sets. So we're going to have awards for sets as a whole. So we're going to have an award for my favorite set of the year, which is definitely a very opinion-based thing. I'm also going to do the most competitive / strongest set as a whole, like maybe the strongest, most impactful decks came out of that set. That one will be a little bit less biased and trying to give you guys something a little more informative. Best art style set, obviously an opinion-based. These are my awards, right? So it's just like, really, you guys are tuning in for a lot of my favorite stuff, and then just also some things I think are a little bit more generic. But best art style for a set overall, best flavor mechanics for a set. So one of my favorite things about the Union Arena trading card game is the fact that the games, you feel like you're playing the characters from the show, which is the best part about that. And flavor just means which set does the best job of making you, feel like you are playing with the characters from the show in a way that is, demonstrated through the cards and way you're playing it, right? So best flavor of a mechanic just kind of entails all that together in a nice little box. And then best upgrade volume 2 set. So we're going to have like my favorite set, the most competitive set, and like, a generic volume 2 set upgrade, which will have a little bit more details when we get into that one. So that is all these set awards, 5 of those going on. We do have deck awards. So I'm going to be doing a favorite deck. Just my favorite deck that I play, right? So a very personal one. The best / strongest deck that I think are in the game, so that'll list a bunch of them as well. And this will be a more informative one of just throughout the year what seems to be the most impactful decks in the game. Then the best flavor deck, just going back to that flavor mechanic from the set. This will entail what I think the best deck in the whole Union Arena does from 2025 that is flavorful and makes you feel like you're really playing that IP, right? And then best starter deck. This can be pretty generic. So we did have, out of all these things, 7 different starter decks come out this year. So there are plenty of those for us to go over. And then a third category with 4 subcategories in it, card awards, singular card awards. We're going to have my favorite SR super rare, my favorite alt art super rare, my favorite alt rare, and my favorite alt common / uncommon slot. I'm not doing any 2 or 3 stars. Those get kind of crazy and are definitely like all of those cards look amazing, right? So that would have been a lot harder to choose from. So hopefully these are enough. But let's get into it, right? The set award categories. We went over these 5, and the first one is going to be my favorite set. And I did put up some nominees. Everything on here will have some nominees just to show you guys like what my 5 favorite ones are, or my favorite cards, right? So like what you'll see on here, these are my 5 favorite different sets that came out this year. So we got Code Geass Volume 2, Yu Yu Hakusho Rurouni Kenshin, Sword Art Online, and Hunter x Hunter Volume 2. It really, when I was making this video, going back and realizing that Sword Art Online was one of the first sets that we got this year, and feeling like this set has been out absolutely forever, is really, really cool to think about. Like, so we get so much product that I thought this was older set, but it did come out at the beginning of this year. So that's one thing to think about, right? So 2025, which is all of these. So those are the 5 here. And my favorite set is Yu Yu Hakusho. And if you know me, this is probably no surprise, right? Yu Yu Hakusho, Hunter x Hunter, and Code Geass are all of my favorite sets. And I did pick Yu Yu Hakusho over the Code Geass Volume 2 because this is a full-fledged set, not a Volume 2 set. It has a lot of my favorite characters. Yu Yu Hakusho is one of my top 10 favorite anime of all time, so there was no doubt that this was going to be my favorite set of the year. You know, going through these awards, I do want to touch on some cards. Like the Yusuke Urameshi deck is super strong, very powerful. Kurobaru is a lot of fun. The Toguro Brother deck is really, really powerful. I think the most powerful deck to come out of this set. You have Hiei, Kurama, the whole gang in this set, and it is a really, really, you know, great set. And I think the power level for this set is, you know, quite high. I don't think it's one of the most powerful sets in the game, but it is a pretty strong set. And if you have not gotten involved in Yu Yu Hakusho and you want a solid set to build a bunch of really good decks out of, it is definitely a good set to invest in, because even though they don't get played on a very competitive scene very much, I definitely think the Toguro brothers and Yusuke are the only ones I've seen random tops here and there. It is a very powerful, very fully fleshed out set, and if you have not given it a try, you should definitely get into it. But Yu Yu Hakusho is my favorite set of 2025. Now, what do I think is the most competitive / strongest set from 2025, base set 2025? So no volume 2s in here. The nominees I'm picking for this one, like I said, we had a bunch of these. You have 10, you know, base sets for the season. Oh man, I went through it. 10 base sets, but the nominees are Kaiju number 8, Sword Art Online, Full Metal Alchemist, One Punch Man, and Rurouni Kenshin. And this is definitely one I probably won't spend too much time on, even though I skipped to it. It's Rurouni Kenshin. This set is absolutely, definitely the best, most competitive set in the game. I don't even think it's close, to be completely honest. You have a couple, I think, that are really good on here. Obviously, as an overall on here, you know, Full Metal Alchemist has the Elric brothers, and it has Roy Mustang in it. Kaiju, being a newer one, is a very close second place, I think, next to Kenshin, because you have both of the yellow decks that are very, very powerful. And then you have the green deck, the Kaiju number 8 deck, which is really, really good. And in the SAO deck, you have the blue SAO deck. That is obviously a really good aggro control deck. You have the green snipe deck, and then the surprise deck, I think, of the year from a set. That could have been a cool category, is surprise deck. The Goddess kind of yellow package-ish deck was performing really, really well earlier this year. Don't forget that, even into the middle levels of the year, where in a lot of local tournaments, you know, these yellow decks were running pretty rampant. And One Punch Man, I think, is just also a very powerful, solid set. Another set if you want to get into a lot of really powerful, good decks out of that set. And both of the Saitama decks were just, you know, running the meta when they came out. I think that was a shorter time in the meta than, you know, how other sets kind of overtake everything. But it was definitely very prevalent when it came out. But clearly, Kenshin is definitely the best / competitive, strongest set in the game. Every single one of these decks you could build out of this set are powerful, and you could play competitive decks out of them. Maybe one or two are a lower tier, but a lot of the decks in here, mainly Saito and Kenshin, right? These are like the two best decks in the entire game at the moment, but really, really strong. And Kenshin is no doubt the best set from the year, in a competitive sense anyways. Now, we have the best art style set. This is just me personally picking what I think the set has overall as the best art style in the game, and Kenshin is on here. It does have very, very beautiful, amazing art. So does Demon Slayer, another nominee here, and then also Code Geass Volume 2 and Yu Yu Hakusho. Spoilers, like, these two are gonna be on just about every different thing, right? They're two of my favorite IPs, so I am going to have them on a lot. And then one that snuck in here I was very surprised about. I went through every single set while I was making this video earlier. I've spent a lot of hours going through cards, and the Nikkei card art is absolutely insane as well. All of these 5 different sets, I think, have really, really good arts in them. And the Demon Slayer one can be, you know, set 1 or 2. I do think that it is included. Both of them are pretty good, whichever one you decide. The art styles are similar enough. I think I included them as 1. So out of those 5 nominees, which one is it? And it is Demon Slayer. I think a lot of people will agree that this set is insanely beautiful. It is one of the most beautiful anime that there is to watch. The studio does an amazing job with the quality of this anime, and if you have not watched Demon Slayer, you should, because the art is absolutely insane, top tier, one of the best art styles in all of anime, and they do a great job on the cards too. So one thing I wanted to note on here, I didn't show any alt art cards here, right? These are just base rarity cards, and the detail on the base rarity cards is enough, I think, to make this deck or this sets beat any set in the game on art style. Even just from, like, look at this Daki. Like, Daki's one of my favorite arts and cards. I love this deck, and this is the regular art for it, and it looks absolutely amazing. Every single card from Demon Slayer is beautiful, and then when you start getting into the alt arts for this set, I don't even think it's close. And Demon Slayer is, you know, one of my favorite anime. Obviously, everyone loves Demon Slayer, but the art it's not, I don't even think it's close. It's so beautiful and amazing. The art is insanely stunning, and I think that this set, both of the sets for Demon Slayer, are definitely top tier in the art. And you know, even with this newest set just coming out too, I was surprised even again when I was looking at the new cards. I was like, wow, Demon Slayer just gets the best art, and it is so amazing to see. All right, I think this is the last one we have for the set awards, and this is going to be the best flavor mechanics in a set, right, as a whole. The nominees for this one are going to be Attack on Titan. We're going to have One Punch Man, Rurouni Kenshin once again, Sword Art Online, and Hunter x Hunter Volume 2 mechanics. And like I said, what I was talking about flavor, meaning just like what decks make you feel like you're really in the verse of the IP that you're playing. In the Attack on Titan decks, you have the Squad Academy or a Squad deck where they're all together, the core deck, red deck where they're all together. You have the different Titan decks where it's just the team of the Titans, and especially like the Colossal Titan. That one feels like the most like flavorful from that set, in my opinion, where you really feel like you're playing the Colossal Titan because he takes up 2 spots. For the Hunter x Hunter mechanics, just really the volleyball team or the yellow is what really makes this set shine, because you have the Razor and then the trio and then another sub deck that you could build, and it's all based around that arc of them all trying to be on, you know, the 3 of them and Bisky being on the team, and then also Razor having his whole team. And those 2 decks, the yellow decks, make it really feel like a very fleshed out, involved, where you feel like you're part of the show. You're trying to play your cards to be like reenacting those scenes in the anime, and if you can succeed, the payoff in these decks, I will take for granted, are very fragile, but if they do get popping and rolling, it's so much fun. And the highs for this archetype are really high. And it also has some subset stuff for things from the previous that help out a lot, with the Phantom Troop, the Zoldyck family, and things like that. And I do think that the Phantom Troop, like I said, this is just for 2025, so I'm not going to pull from that one too much, but definitely mainly the yellow stuff from Hunter x Hunter Volume 2. And then One Punch Man, like the green and yellow decks literally just one punch kill you. And if that doesn't feel like, you know, flavor mechanics there alone, that one just, overall, those 2 decks just make One Punch Man super flavorful. All the other ones, you know, are kind of, you know, different styles and things like that, but the 2 One Punch Man, the yellow and the green one, definitely feel like you're playing the IP, because you're really just trying to get, with the green deck, that one big swing, and with the yellow deck, maybe like 2 big swings in, trying to get that one punch. And then with Sword Art Online, you have the Switch mechanic, which is a very cool, flavorful mechanic. You have the Knights, where they're all trying to be kind of defensive mechanic, and have a bunch of raid bodies. You have the small blue kind of swarmy deck, and then you also have the Goddess deck, which is really cool. You know, praying and sacrificing your life to get powers to your Goddess, I think, is really involved too. Every single one of these IPs do have really favorable mechanics, but there can only be one, and it is Sword Art Online. These decks just feel so good. You really feel like you're playing in the anime, in this entire set as a whole. It really is the set that makes you feel like you are also in the world of Sword Art Online playing these decks. Whether you're playing the Goddess deck, like I said, the Integrity Knights, the Snipe, Gun Gale deck, you really feel like you're in the world of Sword Art Online, and the mechanics are so flavorful. You feel like each of these archetypes you're playing with the characters, and that's how they would play. But I definitely need to put a shine and spot on the Switch Blue deck. I do think that this is like the best flavor deck in the whole game. The whole him switching with Asuna is so smooth in this game, and it just works with the game so well, and you really feel like you're playing with, you know, Kirito and Asuna and how they switch in the show and their fighting style together with their tag team. And I definitely think that that is the standout, and then the set just really feels fleshed out with everything as well. Or I feel like a lot of other sets don't have so many decks where it's like this, like it's one or two, and I think Sword Art Online really wins because I think it has the best kind of flavor deck, and then also everything else is very flavorful as well. Oh, but we got one more set. It's hard to keep up with all of them on here, in here too. So we did have, you know, the other ones. So we got the Best Upgrade Volume 2 set. So the nominees for this one are going to be Code Geass Volume 2, Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 2, Bleach Volume 2, Demon Slayer Volume 2, and Hunter x Hunter Volume 2. Like I said, we had 5 of these sets. These are all 5 of the sets, so I just list them all as the nominees, because since there was only 5, I didn't really have to pick through on them. But I already touched up on the Hunter x Hunter set, what they have in the yellow, and then they do have some green cards, I think, that really help the green decks kind of, you know, flesh that out a little bit more, where you're trying to play with the 3, you know, Kirito, or not Kirito, Killua, Gon, and Kurapika in their own deck, and then also Kurapika gets some support as well, and then they do give the purple decks and the blue bomber and like specified slot decks good support, which makes it a really solid one too. The Demon Slayer Volume 2 set does go pretty heavy into its new color, but the support that it gives, I don't think is a ton of cards, but it is very powerful. The yellow cards really make Hashira, I think, you know, a sleeper, you know, rogue tier deck. I really believe in Hashiras. I do big time. I know a lot of other people in the community don't, but I do think that the Hashira deck gets a ton of upgrades in this that make it a lot more relevant. The couple of cards that the yellow Tanjiro Nezuko deck got are insane. The support that red got to actually make it a color is really good. The Code Geass Volume 2 is definitely, you know, one I think is a little bit more lacking, because the blue is a full color and those decks are pretty fleshed out, but even those I feel like are missing something. But the support that it gave to, you know, the red decks, I think helps a lot. The support that it gave to the purple, I think, didn't really need it. There was a couple of cards, so just not as much impactful, I think, on that one. But still definitely a really good Volume 2 set. You're happy for anything you get from Volume 2, right? Even though some of them are definitely better. If the base set decks are already a lower level than other ones, then the upgrades are, you know, you typically just trying to raise it up. But if it's already a good deck, like in the sense of Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 2, you know, just supporting more blue. I'm surprised blue got anything, and it got some very powerful cards in this archetype. It does a little bit to, you know, make it where you could run a full yellow Gojo kind of ish deck too. Megumi gets some support, which is very impactful as well. And then in Bleach, also just really good Volume 2 set. Probably one of the more hyped ones, this one and the JJK. But Bleach already has so many good decks, and the touch-up support that they got in this set into every color, and then their new color was also blue into theirs as well. But they touch up on yellow a good bit, being able to flesh out the Bambis and then the other deck. And then the green support came in clutch, you know, letting Kenpachi be a stronger package in the Toshi deck, even though Toshi did get some support as well. And then just a couple of different purple things with, you know, Ichigo getting some support for just a straight Bleach deck if you wanted to run it that way, the purple Bleach. And then also the Squad Zero is kind of a new archetype, but ran with other cards. But which of these Volume 2 sets is the best upgrade? And I think it's Bleach Volume 2. Now, I don't run very many Bleach decks. I only have 2 of them. But this, I have so many friends that run these decks. I see so many of these decks get played. And the support in this set, I think, is almost too perfect of what you want out of a Volume 2 set, where it gives you just enough to flesh out the decks that needed support to get playable. Bambis are okay, right? I don't think they're a horrible deck. They're not topping or doing anything crazy, but you can definitely build a Bambi deck now, and Bambi fan players don't have to be too upset about not having cards now, because they got them. The green, Kenpachi got a raid finally. He got his Yachiru, who lets him help out too. And then blue got their whole full new thing, and I think is a very powerful new deck into theirs. And then just the purple stuff that it got to. This set does a lot, and I think going forward, this is kind of how I want Union Arena to go forward with the Volume 2 sets. I love this Volume 2 set. They did a lot to give, power levels to other things, kind of bring in some new archetypes from the older colors, and then bring in a very powerful new blue color archetype too. I do think that Bleach Volume 2 is the best Volume 2 set of the year. Very impactful decks for the new colors and support multiple archetypes and hit popular and niche decks. All right, that is all the set awards. We are now going to the deck award categories. Now, this is very specific, meaning like decks, right? Archetypes of decks, things of that sort, decks that you're used to playing with. They'll have a name or some theme. Now, everyone's deck list is a little bit different, but I'm very generalizing here. So we're going to do one for my favorite deck, my personal favorite deck, what I think the best/strongest deck of the year was, what the best flavor deck is from this year, and then what the best starter deck was. So just 4 in this category, but let's get into it. What is my favorite deck? And you can see here, I listed a lot of decks. I play just about every IP in the game at the moment. There's only 1 or 2 I think that I have not played any at all of, but even those I have at least 1 deck built, and I love playing this game so much. I have so many decks. I can't even count them, right? But these are just some of my few very either powerful decks that do me well, flavor decks that I love a lot, and these are definitely some of the ones I play the most or have the most feelings attached to, right? And I love every single one of these decks. Even just getting it down to these 10, like, it was really, really hard for me, but these are the 10 that I picked to go with. GGO, the green SAO snipe deck. You guys know I love my green build 'em up decks, and obviously Kurapika came out in 2024, or he would be on this list and win. But I do love my Sword Art Online snipe deck as well, and I do really much look forward to the support it's getting soon. The Goddess SAO deck, I love this deck as well. This deck was something I was very surprised with. I built this very early on and was playing with it, and I was like, man, this deck is really strong, very powerful. And then it was later after it came out that it really started to pop off because it was such a consistent aggro deck with a pretty good payoff. So I love this deck a lot. And then obviously, the art of it and the waifus. Waifus are always a big draw for me as well. Those are the 2 Sword Art Online decks I picked. Obviously, a lot of these are going to be some of my favorite IPs as well. A couple of decks snuck in from IPs that aren't my favorite, but I do like a lot. From the Yu Yu Hakusho IP, for my favorite decks that I had built, going to be the Toguro Brothers, and then Yusuke and Kuwabara. This is my specific deck build that you guys know I took to the regionals. So these 2 decks I have a lot of fun with. And even though they're like both kind of build 'em up decks, they play very, very different and very fun. And I kind of like that coming out of the set, where they had a purple build 'em up deck, which we don't see a lot in the game, and it plays very purple, and the payoff feels very big, and it's really good. And then Yusuke is just a traditional kind of build 'em up green snipe deck. From the One Punch Man, my Terrible Tornado deck, I love this deck, and it is definitely my most expensive deck I have. I have 2 stars for this deck, all kinds of altars, and I don't play it a ton because this deck is so much fun to play when everything is going well for you, but you can brick it a little bit, and I just love the dynamic from these 2 characters from the show, and that is one of the biggest draws to me for this deck is the art style. I love Blizzard and Tornado. They are really, really cool, and I love this deck, and it actually is a very powerful deck as well. For the coming up in the next one, another nominee is 3 Ladies in Red. We also do have Mario Leona, the Green Captain's deck. These 2 decks are the 2 decks I picked from Black Clover, and I just love these characters a lot, right? I love Black Clover. It's obviously a great anime, but these 2 particular decks with Mimosa and Noelle in their kind of event-based deck, which I definitely think has a little bit more power and ceiling than the Terrible Tornado and more consistent. And I love the art style in it, like both of their, getting their like armor wizard outfits are really, really cool. And then the Mario Leona Vermilion deck with the green captains is a different kind of build 'em up green deck where you're getting green value. Actually, it's not so much like green snipe, big damage impact. It's like green, play some 4s and then get the 7 to keep the 4s going, kind of value deck. And I do love that deck. It is very, very cool. Now, I do have a Code Geass deck on here, and it is going to be the blue stun deck from Code Geass Volume 2. This is probably a deck a lot of people don't know about. It's just kind of a, like, tap your stuff down, and you can kind of keep some things tapped, while also having, you know, multiple different raid targets in the deck that can come down. I think 12 of them I run in the deck, and then also just being able to get some good value off of tapping your opponents down. Now, it is kind of a gimmicky combo deck in that sense, where you do kind of have, your opponent has to have stuff out there for you to get value on, and if they don't, you really don't have a lower means of getting like power on your opponents. But when I play this deck, it kind of makes people mad sometimes, because it is just like such an annoying deck. If you're not prepared for what it does, it can just sneak up on you, and it has a lot of ways to keep things stunned and get impact and get a lot of draw power. Then for Fullmetal Alchemist, obviously Lust, my favorite character from Fullmetal Alchemist. I love her, and I built a, you know, homunculus deck that, you know, is revolved around Lust, and she's such a good, generically good raid card, just letting you cycle and then also get a card back. So she's just value train. And then for Hunter, I am choosing the volleyball trio team of Hisoka, Killua, and Gon. This deck is so much fun to play. Very, very hard to manage to get everything out because the deck needs some kind of level of protection, but when you do, it is a ton of fun. So what are my favorite decks? I'm picking 3 in here, and they are, yes, Yusuke and Kuwabara in first place. Definitely my favorite, best deck. It did me very, very well at the regionals. Like I said before, if you guys watch my deck profile about this, I did well enough that I thought I could get a top 64. And depending on my tiebreakers, you know, I could have gotten, you know, a lot higher, up into like 48, depending on that. But I love this Yusuke and Kuwabara deck because I spent a lot of time trying to make Kurapika and Yusuke work, and I had an epiphany like the night before, and I would never have had that if that like mindset and thought to like make this work if I hadn't spent so much time on both of those decks and trying to find ways. So definitely the 2 decks I do the most, deck building and theorizing and switching stuff out. And I'm never too like hard strung on anything to switch things out, even if it's not my favorite character's things to work. And you know, I do like Kuwabara. He's really, really cool, very powerful card. This Kuwabara is, but I love this deck. It's definitely one of my, you know, favorite decks to play because a lot of people don't expect the power of this deck. But I think that when I pilot this deck, I've spent so much time on it. I worked really hard to make it very unique. That I have hope that I can win any game with this, right? In second place is my blue Code Geass deck. I love this deck because I love C2. She's one of my favorite characters in all of anime. She's so amazing, and any deck that can play C2 in it makes me very, very happy. And obviously, you can raid on mechs, and I love mech anime, and this deck is so much fun because once again, it's not a very powerful popular deck in the main, like just like Yusuke. And a lot of times I get by winning with these decks. A lot of people don't know what they do. I'm good with these decks, and I have a lot of fun with them, and I know exactly what they do. And I love to, you know, play like rogue-ish tier decks. You know, part of like my name for the channel is, you know, got based off of that. Like I always love to play rogue decks when I play card games, and all 3 of these decks on here are definitely in that level. But in second place, Code Geass, the blue tap deck, and in third place, my Lust Homunculus deck. This one kind of surprised me because, you know, from a lot of the nominees on here, I really thought I was going to maybe pick, you know, Noelle or the Goddess deck. You know, Toguro Brothers, Damage 3, Turn 3 is so much fun. But this deck is so consistent. This Lust, Homunculus, King Bradley, with Envy in it. You have 12 different raid targets. You have a top end with the Father. And I love the versatility of this deck. You can just win with 4 cost raids. You can stay at 4 energy if you see enough of those and just outvalue your opponent. But at some point, if you need to find some big drops, you can. And this deck has a little bit of everything. I do wish maybe there was a little bit more removal in the deck, but that would probably be a little busted considering the Father comes down and does that for you as well. But this deck has a little bit of everything, and I would definitely recommend if you wanted to play a deck that has, like, you know, early game, mid game, multiple damage instances, attack. It has a lot of different keywords. It has a lot of draw power. You have to worry about your sideline and the cards that are in there. This deck is so much fun and very stimulating, and very happy with this deck. And these are definitely my 3 favorite decks from 2025: Yusuke and Kuwabara, the blue Code Tap, and Lust Homunculus. All right. Going on, next category, we have the best / strongest decks from 2025, and I added a lot on here. Right now, these are not my favorite decks. This is not a list for me to tell you guys what my favorite strongest decks are. That's what the last category was, right? For those three, I got that out of the way, and then this is probably, hopefully, like the most controversial, or like, I don't know, like this is probably the one that if you're watching this video, this is the one category it probably matters the most. What was the best deck from 2025? So we need to take some notes here, right? For the entire year, the impact of 2025, whether that be earlier in the year, the middle of the year, the end of the year, most tops and tournaments, all of these things came into account when I was doing it. I did a little more research because I tried not to be biased based off of the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, the end of the year, and I tried to just do maybe like numbers of tops and things like that as well. The deck had to be introduced this year. It can't be a deck from last year either that got upgrades. That's the main thing. Also, I wanted to do that because there's a lot of decks missing from here that you can see. Some noticeable ones being like Toshi. Toshi technically came out. It was one of the first sets, and it's gotten multiple waves of support, but I consider that a 2024 deck because most of the cards still are from 2024. Now, that new binder collection maybe changed that, but the deck is from that year, and I want to kind of keep this decks from the 2025. So a couple other decks are missing out of here, like Purple Kogias and things like that. Some other decks that I love as well, too. But these are specifically decks that came out in 2025. So I'm going to go through this one a little quicker. Roy Mustang is on here as one of the top decks to come out this year. The Goddess deck is on here. The Blue SAO Switch Kirito Asuna deck. The Tanjiro Nezuko is a deck that has not been nominated or had any cards on here yet. This is this aggro combo-y deck, and then it also got more support, which I think puts it as one of the most powerful decks too. Then we also have the two Kenshin decks, obviously Red Kenshin and Purple Saito being very, very powerful decks. We have the two One Punch Man decks, the green One Punch Man and the yellow One Punch Man. These are on the list. I know they haven't done very much recently, right? But when these two decks came out, they were topping a ton, and they took up a lot of the topping slots in the tournaments for like a 2-month period. It was mainly these two decks and some other decks that were sneaking in, but these decks were a very important part of 2025, especially in that middle part of it. The beginning of the year was a little bit more up and down with Sword Art Online and Demon Slayer and a couple of these decks coming in and out. When One Punch Man came in, it was definitely One Punch Man decks taking the top part until we got some more decks. Then I also have one Yu Yu Hakusho deck on here, which I think Toguro Brothers, I think that, I still believe in Yusuke, but I think the Toguro Brothers deck is definitely the most powerful deck from the set because it did get a couple tops in the last couple regionals as well. And this deck is very scary, but very gimmicky. If it sees the turn 3 damage 3, you kind of just lose. And if it doesn't see that, and you can leave up a blocker, you can kind of live through it. And then 3 of the Kaiju decks, I think, all deserve to be on here. I know a lot of this is, looking like recency bias, but it does have to do with power creep in the game a little bit. But I think I pulled a lot from throughout the year as well, right? These are a lot of the most impactful decks, and the reason you're not seeing a lot of other decks on here is because, like I said, they came out in 2024, but the green Kaiju number 8 Build 'em Up deck is on here, the yellow Mina deck, and the yellow Kikuro Rush deck is also on here. So these are all the decks, I think, that came out in 2025 that are the most impactful, but there can only be one winner, and I will pick top 3, and I don't think this one is going to be very much surprise at all to anyone, right? Red Kenshin is definitely the best deck to come out in 2025, even though it did come out the end of the year, and Purple Saito is the second best deck, and then Roy Mustang I will put in 3rd place. A lot of this does have to do with toppings, right? And the percentage of these decks topping over the last couple months is so much more consistent. It has dealt with a couple different IPs coming out since then, and it's still the best decks in the meta. And I do think that these 3 decks are very, very powerful, and the 3 best decks that came out this year. Everything revolves around Red Kenshin as soon as it came out. Purple Saito is here also to combat Red Kenshin, but if we didn't have the Red Kenshin, it'd be a lot different of a meta game going on, right? And I do think that Roy has done enough to always be consistent, and if you don't remember, Roy came out It was just Roy's everywhere, super dominant deck when it first came out. And I do think that these three are the most powerful decks of 2025. And I do think that this particular category going into next year will be one that is usually going to be a little bit top loaded. But like I said, before I did this, I wanted to make sure I went through every deck, kind of gave you guys a timeline of when these decks all shined. But there was no mistaking that these three decks are what stand out to people, I think, for 2025. If, like, at the end of the year, you ask people, or a year later, like, hey, what was the decks in 2025? These would be the three I think people would pick to have on there that would be the most noticeables for sure, right? Now, we are getting down the awards for the best decks, and now we are getting down to the best flavor deck of 2025. So like I said, once again, it has to be a deck that came out this year, not a deck that had upgrades from the past year, but these are the nominees, and this one is 7 nominees I went through and picked out. We have Green Titans, this one. We haven't touched on it yet, so I will give some notice to what this one does. Playing down the Colossal Titan and it taking up multiple slots of your front line, that alone, that play, right, is so flavorful and good. Now you have the other different Titans that do also work together, and you can kind of see the three of them being those different Maryland warriors who came together. And I think that the flavor in this deck is very, very powerful. But the most impactful thing is definitely when you get that Colossal Titan down, it really makes you feel like, you know, you're in the show and you just saw the Colossal Titan get summoned and tear down the wall. It's so impactful, so flavorful, so good. That one card alone, I think, makes it shine through to be really, really important. Obviously, the green One Punch Man Saitama, what's more flavorful than him sticking true to his word and killing you in one shot? And then the red Kenshin, obviously a very powerful deck, but it is very flavorful in the sense that red Kenshin, if you watch the show, he doesn't kill, right? And this deck doesn't let you kill your opponent's cards until you do get out the Himura Batosai card, and then they do become, ones that can KO your opponent's characters. But the flavor of this deck is so good because he doesn't want to take out your characters, so they push him back to the back line, which is obviously very powerful, very annoying. But the flavor of this deck cannot be denied because it is so flavorful and cool. Get over the fact the deck is powerful too, right? Like, it hone in on like how it feels to play it, and it is so flavorful. I've already touched on my Trio 3 volleyball team from Hunter x Hunter. That one is very flavorful and cool too. I love this deck. It is so much fun to play, and this one definitely makes me feel like I'm watching the show when I'm playing the deck, when I get all three of the things going off because of this particular card here, Merge, right? This is the highlight of this deck. If you have all three of them on the board at the same time, you get multiple effects varying whether you have different ones. And this one card alone, I think, is the most flavorful card in the game in general. Like, I don't know if another card needs you to have 3 different things going on your board at one time to get something. And I think that this is the most impactful, flavorful, one singular card in the entire game. Obviously, the Kirito Asuna Switch deck, like I've talked about before earlier, coming out of that set, we talked about it, just being so amazing, so fluid with the switching. You definitely feel like you're playing Kirito and Asuna. I do have Roy Mustang on here. This is probably a weird one, but if you watch the show and you play Roy, it makes sense, right? That he's, snapping his fingers. He's using your cards from your hand to burn up your opponent. And it feels very good, and it makes a lot of sense. And then you have Riza, the sniper, helping you get, cards back to your hand, being very pinpoint. This deck is also very flavorful, and one that, when I played it as well, I was like, oh, wow, yeah, this is flavorful. This is a lot of fun. I feel like I'm just snapping my fingers, burning people up with Roy, and Riza's helping support Roy the best she can. Very flavorful. And then, we're going to have a couple of repeat decks just because they are good and powerful and also flavorful. But the Toguro Brothers is so flavorful because if you don't know the older Toguro brother, the younger one does take him out in the show, right? And the card lets you, when he's taken out, get some value and effects to get back in. And that is super flavorful, that mechanic alone. But then also the fact that Toguro comes down, and all of the Toguros are very, very powerful. Every single Toguro card has a high BP threshold, with a big one when it comes down, just absolutely demolishing you with the damage 3 and minusing your board. It just feels so menacing, and the fact that this character is portrayed as such a big bag, as soon as you see this deck, oh, the younger Toguro brother, I gotta watch out for that. And throughout the whole show, that's exactly how it feels. And you see him get his different forms throughout the show, and each of the cards has him looking a different way. And then also, you know, the event card in it, 100% of 100% is definitely so flavorful and good. I love that one too. And then You Did Good, also that one is very flavorful, but there can only be one, right? So what is on here? And the winner is two of them. I pick it two. I can't just pick one. Blue Sword Art Online Switch deck, I definitely think is the most flavorful deck. It just feels amazing to play that. Taking the bias out of it, I do think that this is the best flavored deck in the game. It is so good, so cool, so amazing to play this deck. You definitely feel like you're playing with Kirito and Asuna. But in second place is the Hunter x Hunter Yellow Volleyball Team deck for me. It's not the best deck, but it is the most flavorful and meaningful deck to me. Playing this deck really brings me immersed into the show, and that is the best thing about this card game, is when decks can do this. And that's why these two decks are two of my favorite decks in the entire game. But, you know, runner-up, Hunter x Hunter, but the winner is definitely Blue Sword Art Online. It is the most flavorful deck in the entire game. And it is so fluid that you just feel like as soon as you're playing the deck, you're doing their switch mechanics. And the switch mechanic card, now this card doesn't get played a ton, but this card alone is so good too. Not as flavorful as the merge, but just enough close to be on there. Now, last one we got is the starter decks. We do have, 7 different starter decks that came out this year. The Black Clover starter deck, Attack on Titan starter deck, the Sword Art Online starter deck, Demon Slayer, Rurouni Kenshin, Full Metal Alchemist, and One Punch Man. And these are all the decks that came out, but there can only be one that I think the best starter deck is. And I took a couple things into account. Which one's the easiest one to play, right? Only one starter deck as well, right? You only get to sleeve up one. Which one's probably the best? Which one's the easiest to play? Is it, cohesive, where it's not very confusing or hard to play? And then also, if you were to combine two, which one seems a little bit easier, where you don't have to go out of your way to get other cards, right? And the winner for the best starter deck is Yellow One Punch Man. This deck is so simple to play and pick up. It has really good cards in it. It's the most balanced to sleeve up just this one copy and probably do pretty well, because it has the Saitamas in it that can definitely just win you the game. And if you do put two of them together, the deck is very, very powerful with the Genoses and the Saitamas in it, that I think are just absolutely so good cards. And if you're someone trying to get into the game and you wanted one of these decks from 2025, I would recommend the One Punch Man deck, because I do think it is a very good deck. It's easy to pick up and learn the deck, and it's very, very powerful, so you can get some wins with it. Okay, we're getting down to our last different awards on here. We've been through the set awards, we've been through the deck awards, now we're down to the card awards. Now we have 4 different categories for the card awards here. We got my favorite super rare, my favorite alt art super rare, my favorite alt rare, and then my favorite common/uncommon slot. Just 4 of these here, let's get into it. And this is the hardest category for me here. You can see every single one of these cards, and I could spend 30 minutes talking about this one page alone on here, right? I'm probably going to break up this video anyways, because I know it's already going to be a really, really long video. And if you want me to come back to this one or any of these topics and talk about them more, let me know in the comments down below. But this was the hardest one. All factors are taken into account. These are just some of the things that go through my brain. The art. How does the art look? How functional is the card? How strong is the card? How flavorful is the card? How cool is the card? How cute is the card? That's a big one for me. How powerful the card is. How impactful it is to feel like it played, etc., etc. All these different things. And I could go on talking about all the different cards I love in this game. And a couple of these we already talked about, so I don't have to touch on them, right? Younger Toguro Brother is on here. The big 8-drop, the 5-cost Raid Noelle is on here. We've talked about her. Lust is on here. We've talked about her. The Xenon and the Terrible Tornado are all on here. We have, what else we talked about? Kurabara is on here. Maria Leon is on here. We've talked about the C2, the blue C2. She is also one of my favorite super rares on here. We have the Yellow Hisoka, which is not something we talked about, but I love the art on this card. card. I can't believe this is just a regular super rare. Like, this one looks so good. Jin, this is one of my favorite decks that I did not know I would love coming out of Yu Yu Hakusho, and it's because of this super rare right here. He is like a mini Kenshin. When he gets played, you make your opponent choose a you choose one of their characters and you move it to the energy line, and then your opponent can't choose him with the ability on event cards unless they have to place a card from the hand into the sideline, right? So they're gonna have to trash a card if they want to target him with event cards, and then you have like the beautiful Suzuki in the deck. I know I'm just talking about the super rare here, but this deck is a surprise standout deck. Olivier Mira Armstrong, I love the art on this. I love Olivier. She's one of my favorite characters. Next to Lust, she's below Lust, but she's up there in Full Metal Alchemist for me. Hajime Saito, he is, my favorite character from Kenshin. And I don't play this deck a ton because of how powerful it is, and I see so many people play it. So when other people play decks, I don't have to play them. But this card is so impactful. It is one of the best cards in the game in the sense of like what it does for you, how impactful and powerful it is. Nanami's on here because I love Nanami. I was super happy to get this new raid card for the Volume 2 set for Jujutsu Kaisen, and it makes it where now I can play a full Nanami deck, and I don't have to bother with other shenanigans, which is really cool. Another nominee is obviously the 7-drop Yusuke Urameshi. Being from my favorite deck, the Yusuke Urameshi deck, this card is really cool. It looks cool. He's doing the famous, finger spirit gun. He looks awesome. The splash art and colors are amazing. And then the last nominee is C2, the pizza art C2 on here. Really good card. I love it. Helped this deck out a lot. Now, it is a very gimmicky deck, but the deck did need this raid, and I was very happy for it. And I love the art on this for C2. She is one of my favorite anime characters of all time. We touched on this C2, but yeah, that was 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 different super rares. That's what I cut myself down to. It could have been way more. This probably could have been like 30, 40, 50 cards on here talking about all my favorite super rares. But I am going to pick a couple on here for you guys. What are my favorite super rares? They are, of course, Yusuke, C2, and Lust. Yusuke is definitely on here from, being from one of my favorite anime, right? The card art, I think, looks so amazing. I love that splash art. And his pose like that with the finger is so iconic for anime in general. And I love this card, and it's powerful. It's got good art. It's everything I want on a card, and it is an overachiever. Every time I play this card, if no one's played against it before, they have to pick it up and read it because like it does all that. And I'm like, yeah, as long as I got the setup down below to trash a card, he gets all that. And it is definitely my favorite super rare from this particular year. In second place is C2. I was so ready for this. I love C2. I love her session with pizza. I love her art style. I just love C2 in general. And this super rare is so amazing. It does a lot to help out the deck. I've played it a couple times. I've snuck up a couple wins on people, and I just love this art. I'm obsessed with C2. My second favorite super rare from 2025. And my third one is Lust, the queen for Full Metal Alchemist. This art is insane. Having her, profile on the back, having her in the front. The Full Metal Alchemist art is really, really good. I definitely think this one is more art, and also it is a very, very functional card and very, very powerful, right? Like C2 is the one on here. It's probably the least played card. Definitely art, but I love C2. So she makes her way on here. These are my 3 favorite super rares from 2025. Now, what is my favorite alt art SR here, right? So now you're gonna see a little bit of a difference on here because these are my favorite alt art super rares, these 6 on here, and not every single one of them were ones I mentioned on over here on the base art for the super rares, right? So we do have Lust. Her alt art I think is absolutely amazing. We do have the C2 who was on the list of my regular SRs, so making a lot of sense that she's on here as well. I love the mech in the background. I love when they have little images on there, the crest, her eyes, everything on here. I love C2. Yusuke, also this is his alt art. He was on my super rare list as well. This one having multiple different scenes, multiple different instances of him using his spirit gun. Also in that iconic, frame of him with the fingers ready to shoot a spirit gun. Saito, this one is insane. Like, this card is insane. Now, we did have, the 6-drop Saito is one of my favorite regular super rares, but this alt art for this super rare is insane for the 4-drop. He just looks like a menace. He's doing his favorite little glove thing that is so cool and iconic that he does. There's gold all over it. This art has so much going on. And then it wouldn't be a favorite list thing without a Hunter card on here for me. And it is this Killua. He is doing his famous pose. It has his name on it, the Hunter. It has touches of gold and blue. And it's really the color scheme of this one that gives it away from me. I love this card. And it is such a beautiful card. And then, you know... Demon Slayer had, you know, the best overall set, so for me to not put a Demon Slayer card on my favorite Altar SRs would have been criminal, and the one I picked from that set, I did try to go set for set. I didn't allow myself to do multiples because then I wouldn't have had enough room, but then I did hone in on these particular 6. I was going to do 12 or 15 again, but whenever I was doing it, these 6 were just so clearly like my top 6 that it made this one be a little bit less, not as hard to do as the regular super rare one, but this Altar is insane for him. So good. And my favorite Altarts, super rares, is a tie. I can't pick. I'm copping out on here. It's C2 and Yusuke. I can't pick. I won't do 1 or 2. They're both number 1. The waifu pool is very, very strong with C2. I love her. She's one of my favorite characters all anime. She's absolutely amazing. Her, you know, pose on this one, the eyes, the background, the color scheme, the green, the blue, the light color scheme is very reminiscent of like Yu Yu Hakusho, to be completely honest, the color scheme, because you can see the same color levels on Yusuke, but a little bit darker. Hers are lighter. I do love blue and green in different like kind of pink and light aspects as well. And then this altar is just absolutely insane. Having the multiple different things on here is crazy, and all the altars for Yu Yu Hakusho are insane. Every single one of these that have, you know, the scenes from the show on it are such a nice touch and amazing. But these are my 2 favorite Altart super rares, and I could not be happier with these. I can't pick. They're both up there. They're tied. Gotta have one for the waifu and gotta have one for the boys, and that is my 2 favorite Altarts here. Now, my favorite Altart rares from the game. I have 2, 4, 6, 8 of them on here. There are a couple of them on here. A couple of cards that we haven't touched on before. I think none of these cards we've touched on because we haven't talked about any rares, right? So we have Nezuko Kamado. This is the one from the newest set on here. I love this art. It has her, you know, demon form where she's bigger on here. The touches of the gold around the border. Very beautiful art. Love the color scheme. My boy Kurapika finally getting some love. This is one of the cards I can actually put on here that's a new Kurapika card. So I'm absolutely doing it. And he looks sick in this pose. So cool. So amazing. I actually need this one. If you have this card and you're willing to get off of it, send it to me. I actually still looking for this card. Very cool card. And then Isabel. This particular card is a beautiful, amazing. She is like this demon mech gothy lady, and I could not be happy. This card is insane. I picked up this card just because of the art, and I do want to build the deck based off of it just because I am obsessed with this art. It is absolutely beautiful and stunning, and it's got a lot going on. Yusuke showing up on here as the alt-art rare. His iconic, you know, point at the screen, spirit gun pose is just, it's so iconic. It's one of the most iconic poses in all of anime for me, so he's on here. We do have the bunny suit Callan on here as well. I love this art. Very, very cool having the mech on there, and then having the gun. She means business even though she's in that bunny suit. Definitely a really cool scene from the show a lot of people love. Another Kogias card on here. I was very surprised I had to put 2, but this Nunnally card, it's insane. The Nunnally and the Shinjimaru have so much going on them. 2 beautiful, very amazing cards. Obviously a lot of waifus for this alt art for me on here, but this Shinjimaru one is insane. I don't think there's another alt art that stands out color scheme wise as much as this Shinjimaru does here. Me and a couple other buddies at the shop, when we found out this card and we saw it, we were like, wow, this is insane. One of our, you know, top 10 kind of alt art rares in the game for sure. And then we have Isoko on here, another Hunter x Hunter card, and this one's just so cool because I don't think it's like the most beautiful, crazy, cool looking card, but I love this little spider thing on the edge, but it's not a spider scheme on the whole thing, right? Because he's not really part of the Phantom Troop. He's trying to, you know, pretend to be one. And it's this iconic shower scene in the show where he does take off his, you know, texture surprise tattoo of the spider on there, and then he's just looking very menacing like Hisoka does in a kind of playful, menacing, fun way. And I just love this art. It's really, really cool. But what are my favorite alt art rare air? What is it in this one? And it's not even close. The winner is Callan Kazuki. The bunny suit Callan is perfect. This is my favorite alt art, probably my favorite alt art, top 3 in the whole game. No even like close to like rarity or anything like that. This is one of my favorite alts, period, in the entire game. I love this alt. It's absolutely perfect. I think I have 2 copies of this particular card, and I couldn't be more obsessed with it. It is amazing, and this is definitely my favorite alt art rare in the game for 2025, and probably gonna be top 5 all time. I know this game. I hope it keeps living on and has a long supply of cards to give us in sets. But this one's goated for sure. I love Bunny Suit Callan. All right, we are getting to the last category on here, and it's my favorite alt art common / uncommons. And really, you know, they're all uncommons. It's just uncommons. I was really looking through, and these are the 6 I kept bringing up. I did have a list of like I think 10 or 12 again for this one, but this one was pretty easy to cut down to these particular 6, and I definitely try to spread it out throughout the time. Right, some earlier cards from the year being this Guillaume. This is my favorite Hashira card. He's gold. He's doing his statue pose. I love the like geometrical stuff going on in the background, and he's a straight boss. He's one of my favorite Hashira, like my 3rd favorite Hashira. He's very, very cool, but this particular art being all gold too is insane, and he looks like a straight boss. Very respectable, ready to do some work. Also, another card that came out earlier in the year is this particular Hellish Blizzard, uncommon alt art. I love this art for Blizzard. Definitely I don't know if it's my favorite alt art for Blizzard, but it's up there. This I love this art, and I have so many alt arts for this deck. We also have Anya Allstream. I don't actually have this alt, but when I was looking through the alt arts, like I said, did a lot of research to this one. This one kept coming up to me as an uncommon alt art, and I really love this art. In her pose, obviously her solemn eyes, she has her mech in the background. I love the pink touches and the different symbols going on here. And this one was a standout to me that I found my love for this card while doing this video. And I definitely want to pick up this copy of Anya to get this alt art because I think it's absolutely beautiful, and the pink on this card really pops out with the blue touches in the background. Now, we have another Saito alt art on here, and it's probably... Saito got treated good, because this is his famous, getting ready to do his signature move where he can't be stopped, and he's in that pose, and everything time I think about Saito, I think about the glove pull-up pose, and then right after that, it's his pose to do his signature move, which is super cool with the bangs coming down, and this one looks beautiful with the blue flowers and everything. Very amazing art. Then we have the Rengoku, too soon. Oh, it hurts. But just stunning card. This card is absolutely beautiful. Everyone loves Rengoku, and he's getting another surprise spot on here. But this card is absolutely amazing, and a very new card, right? Just came out just recently. And then also a Hunter x Hunter card put on here for me. This particular uncommon, I think, has levels that some other, cards could do. Like, this is like 3 different layers, right? Like, you have them in the front, and then you have them in the background with different poses, which is interesting, right? To have a different pose in the background, different scenes in the show as well, right? This is them walking up to the table, and then this is them, realizing, looking out, trying to find them at the table, and then obviously the little touch of that spider in the corner, that little touch on those cards really makes me love these particular arts for Hunter x Hunter. But this one's really, really cool because it has 2 characters and both of them in the background as well. So it's like 2 cards for 1. But what is my favorite alt, common, uncommon? And it is this new Rengoku Set Your Heart Ablaze. He is so motivating, and this card has so much detail on it, and I did not think this would win. I really didn't. I love Rengoku. I love Demon Slayer. Obviously, the arts from Demon Slayer, I think, are the best, and I think that even though this particular card, and he's not like my favorite, I can't get over the quality of the Demon Slayer card arts, and this one is one of the newer ones that absolutely is just so stunning on here. And I think you can pick almost any alt art Demon Slayer card, like, wow, this is one of my favorite alt arts because they'll all be this insane quality of texture and layers on top of layers, because you have a border layer on top of the regular border on, and then behind that the picture of him, and then on that extra layer there's so much detail in his face and his hair and the blood that he has on. And we obviously all love Rengoku, but this is definitely my favorite alt art common in the game for 2025. It is absolutely amazing. But that was a doozy. That was all of them. I am doing it at hours. I'm definitely going to split this up into different videos. I'll probably post one humongous one and then go through the 3 different categories. But if you stuck around with me this long, I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me. This are my final thoughts. So many good cards and arts have come out in 2025, but we have more to come too, right? We have already 6 months worth of product coming out for Union Arena. The game is thriving right now. So much going on. I absolutely love Union Arena, and I couldn't be more thankful for you all getting me to 500 subscribers. It has been a blast. I've had so much fun. You know, I think I've been really committed to the channel the last like 6 months, really. You know, found a hard time where I was like having to like find something to, you know, really stick my time through, going through like having to be in like the hotel for so long. And this channel has really helped me find a passion for the game above what I had beforehand too, right? And I couldn't be happier making these videos for you guys. But on the last note, I do want to tell you guys all happy holidays once again. Whatever holiday you you know, celebrate and support, have a lot of fun doing it, and be careful out there. But I will still be making videos even though the holidays are coming up, so don't be worried about that. But please leave this video a like, share the channel, tell your friends if they like Union Arena to check it out, subscribe to it, because this video was a lot of work, but I had a ton of fun doing it, and I wouldn't be able to do it without you guys, you know, watching these things. So I really appreciate all support, and I had a lot of fun doing this one, and I can't wait to do more things like this. But I appreciate y'all hanging out with me today. Peace.